Have you ever encountered someone who makes you feel uneasy? Despite their outward friendliness, they may speak sweetly, yet you sense something is amiss. The truth is, some individuals are not merely unkind, they are profoundly dangerous, deliberately manipulative, controlling, and destructive. The most frightening aspect? Their skill in concealing their true nature. This video will reveal 5 clear indicators that you are confronting a truly malevolent individual. Pay close attention, as you may be unknowingly subjected to manipulation. 1. The illusion of charm and allure. Superficial charm and true nature. Individuals with malicious intent often possess a captivating allure from the outset. They may exhibit humor, confidence, and a talent for attracting attention, making others feel valued in their presence. They cultivate an impression of rarity, trustworthiness, or a unique connection. However, Stoic philosophy dictates that initial impressions can be illusory. A person's true character is not revealed through fleeting moments but through consistent behavioral patterns observed over time. Warning signs. Cracks in the facade. Close observation reveals subtle indicators that this charm is merely a facade, a constant need to be the center of attention. They dominate conversations, steer topics back to themselves, and strive to appear superior. Subtle belittling of others. They may employ teasing, sarcasm, or subtle methods to make others feel inferior. This can manifest as condescending jokes or insinuating remarks. An inability to accept failure or dissent. When things don't go their way, they become angry, defensive, or even manipulative to regain control. Individuals possessing genuine integrity confront setbacks and rejection with equanimity, readily accepting constructive criticism and demonstrating a willingness to adapt their approach. Conversely, those exhibiting a malevolent disposition tend to react in markedly different ways. They may manifest anger or resentment when their desired attention is not forthcoming, resorting to manipulative tactics to regain control. This might involve inducing guilt in others or adopting a victim mentality to garner sympathy. Furthermore, they may distort facts to obfuscate their own culpability, deflecting blame onto external circumstances or individuals. Such responses reveal a fundamental lack of self-awareness and an unwillingness to take responsibility for their actions or shortcomings. The inability to accept failure as a learning opportunity and the recourse to manipulative behaviors are clear indicators of a flawed character, highlighting a deficiency in emotional maturity and interpersonal skills. A healthy response to adversity involves self-reflection, a willingness to learn from mistakes, and a commitment to personal growth, rather than resorting to blame shifting or emotional manipulation. Stoic philosophy's counsel on self-preservation. Maintaining emotional fortitude against external influence. Epictetus's sage advice. Be slow to trust anyone, for time reveals the true character of men, serves as a cornerstone of self-protection. Observe their interactions with others. A genuinely virtuous individual elevates those around them, while a manipulator seeks only to control and diminish. Resist manipulation through eloquent rhetoric. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Therefore, cultivate a discerning mind, impervious to the allure of deceptive flattery. Establish distance upon recognizing warning signs. If an individual consistently exhibits manipulative behavior, seeks to exert undue control, or induces significant emotional distress, consider establishing a healthy distance or implementing firm boundaries within the relationship. This proactive approach safeguards your well-being and prevents the erosion of your emotional equilibrium. Remember, maintaining emotional fortitude requires vigilance and a commitment to discerning truth from falsehood, thereby protecting oneself from the insidious effects of manipulation and exploitation. Prioritize your mental and emotional health. Your well-being is paramount. 2. A lack of empathy. Empathy, the capacity to understand and share the feelings of another, is fundamental to the construction and maintenance of robust interpersonal relationships. It serves as a cornerstone of mutual support during times of adversity and is essential for fostering a humane and compassionate society. However, individuals exhibiting toxic traits frequently demonstrate a deficiency in genuine empathy, or, more insidiously, feign empathy as a manipulative tactic. Such individuals are characterized by a demonstrable lack of concern for the emotional well-being, thoughts, and challenges of others. prioritizing instead the advancement of their own self-interest. This calculated disregard for the feelings of others represents a significant impediment to healthy social interaction and underscores the critical importance of cultivating and recognizing authentic empathy within interpersonal dynamics. The absence of genuine empathy, whether through inherent deficiency or deliberate manipulation, constitutes a serious ethical and social concern, demanding careful consideration and proactive measures to mitigate its detrimental effects. The hallmarks of an individual lacking empathy manifest in several key behaviors. Firstly, a demonstrable indifference to the emotions of others is a prominent characteristic. Such individuals exhibit a lack of concern or offer only superficial responses when others share their joys or sorrows. Faced with another's hardship, they may disregard the situation entirely or display annoyance rather than offering support or concern. Their failure to recognize or acknowledge the emotional state of others is striking. They may even trivialize or ridicule the experiences of those around them. For instance, if someone confides in them about the stress of job loss, instead of offering comfort, they might retort with dismissive statements such as, "Just find another job, it's not that big of a deal." Or, "I've had it worse. Nobody cares about your problems." Secondly, these individuals may exploit the vulnerabilities of others. When someone is weak or susceptible to emotional manipulation, instead of offering assistance, they leverage the situation for personal gain. They may utilize another's weaknesses to control or manipulate them, fostering a sense of dependence. Rather than sharing in another's pain, they may engage in comparative devaluation, minimizing the other person's experience and making them feel overly sensitive. For example, if someone is distressed by a personal matter, instead of offering solace, they might declare, "Your problems are nothing compared to what I've been through." Thirdly, a notable absence of guilt or remorse when causing harm to others is a significant indicator. Empathetic individuals experience regret when unintentionally hurting others and actively seek to rectify the situation. Conversely, those lacking empathy show no remorse, often shifting blame onto the victim. They may offer justifications or excuses for their poor behavior rather than accepting responsibility. For example, if they offend someone, instead of apologizing, they might retort, "I was only telling the truth. If you're offended, that's your problem." Finally, a disregard for the consequences of their actions is a defining trait. They may inflict harm on others without considering the repercussions. Solely focused on personal benefit, they ignore the negative emotions they evoke in others. When criticized, they deflect responsibility or blame others. For instance, they might exploit someone's trust for personal gain and, upon discovery, claim, "You were too trusting, that's your fault." These behaviors collectively demonstrate a profound lack of empathy and emotional intelligence. The lack of empathy in toxic individuals stems from a confluence of factors, each contributing to their inability or unwillingness to understand and share the feelings of others. Firstly, inherent personality traits play a significant role. Some individuals possess a naturally self-centered disposition, characterized by egocentricity and a disregard for the emotional well-being of others. This inherent lack of concern is not necessarily a conscious choice but rather a deeply ingrained aspect of their personality structure. Secondly, adverse life experiences can profoundly impact the development of empathy. Individuals raised in environments devoid of emotional support or those who have suffered significant trauma may develop defensive mechanisms that manifest as emotional detachment and a diminished capacity for empathy. Such experiences can lead to a learned aversion to emotional vulnerability, both in themselves and in others. Thirdly, narcissistic personality traits, and potentially narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, significantly contribute to a deficit in empathy. Individuals exhibiting narcissistic tendencies are preoccupied with their own self-importance and entitlement, viewing others primarily as instruments to serve their needs and ambitions. Their inflated sense of self-worth prevents them from genuinely recognizing or valuing the perspectives and feelings of others. Finally, the manipulative use of a perceived lack of empathy constitutes a deliberate strategy employed by some toxic individuals. They may feign a lack of empathy to control, exploit, and undermine others, furthering their own self-serving agendas. This calculated manipulation is a conscious choice, designed to exert power and achieve personal gain at the expense of others' emotional well-being. Understanding these multifaceted factors is crucial in addressing the complex issue of empathy deficits in toxic individuals. How to protect yourself from unempathetic individuals. Identify early warning signs. If someone consistently disregards or minimizes your feelings, or exploits your vulnerabilities, exercise caution. Do not expect change. You cannot force an unempathetic person to become caring. Accept this reality and prioritize self-protection. Establish clear boundaries. Prevent them from overstepping your limits. If they cause you emotional distress, maintain distance and resist manipulation. Avoid explaining your emotions. An unempathetic individual will neither understand nor care about your feelings. Instead of attempting to change them, invest your energy in those who genuinely value you. Learn to say, no, do not allow yourself to be exploited. When manipulated or used, firmly refuse. Focus on healthy relationships. Dedicate your time to those who truly appreciate and respect you, rather than attempting to change someone incapable of empathy. 3. The art of sophisticated manipulation. Manipulation is the insidious control of another person's actions to serve the manipulator's own agenda, often without the victim's awareness. Manipulators do not employ direct coercion. Instead, they utilize subtle tactics to influence thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. This may involve verbal strategies, emotional appeals, controlling behaviors, or orchestrated situations designed to induce guilt, dependence, or obligation. The consequences of manipulation include a loss of autonomy, feelings of insecurity, self-doubt, and a susceptibility to exploitation of finances, emotions, and efforts. The insidious nature of manipulation often leaves victims unaware of their controlled state. Sophisticated manipulation tactics. A comprehensive overview. Gaslighting. Eroding self-trust. Gaslighting is a manipulative technique designed to undermine an individual's self-confidence and instill self-doubt. Victims are subtly led to question their own perceptions, memories, and sanity, fostering dependence on the manipulator. Indicators of gaslighting. The manipulator consistently denies reality despite clear evidence, dismisses the victim's concerns as overly sensitive or imagined, and distorts facts to create confusion and doubt about the victim's memory. Example: the victim recalls a promise made by the manipulator, but the manipulator responds with, "You're mistaken, I never said that," or, "Are you hallucinating? That never happened." Countermeasures. Maintain detailed records of significant events to provide verifiable evidence. Trust your instincts and intuition. Do not allow the manipulator to erode your self-belief. Seek validation from trusted individuals if you suspect manipulation. Guilt tripping. Inducing obligation. This tactic leverages guilt to coerce compliance. The manipulator uses emotional manipulation to make the victim feel responsible for the manipulator's well-being or desires. Indicators. The manipulator employs statements designed to evoke a sense of responsibility or obligation. They may adopt a victim role to elicit guilt if their requests are refused. Example: if you don't help me, I don't know what I'll do. Or, don't you love me? If you did, you would do this. Countermeasures. Recognize that you are not obligated to fulfill everyone's expectations. Discern whether feelings of guilt are genuinely warranted or artificially induced. Practice assertive communication, learning to decline requests without experiencing undue guilt. Undermining confidence. Systematic criticism. This involves persistent criticism, belittling, and undermining to erode the victim's self-esteem and foster dependence. Indicators. The manipulator engages in constant comparisons designed to highlight the victim's perceived shortcomings. They instill a belief in the victim's inadequacy, suggesting that they require the manipulator's assistance for self-improvement. Example: you're always so incompetent, you can't do anything right. Or, without my help, you'd be completely lost. Countermeasures. Identify manipulative criticism and differentiate it from constructive feedback. Do not allow the manipulator to define your self-worth. Cultivate self-confidence and seek support from individuals who genuinely value you. Cultivating dependence. Fostering powerlessness. This strategy aims to create a sense of vulnerability and helplessness in the victim, making them reliant on the manipulator for decision-making. Indicators. The manipulator instills fear of independent decision-making. They exploit the victim's fear of failure to reinforce the belief that only the manipulator can provide solutions. Example: "Without me, you're incapable of anything," or "The world is a harsh place, it's best to follow my lead." Countermeasures: assert autonomy in decision-making, resisting the manipulator's attempts at control. Develop independence and reduce reliance on the manipulator. Broken promises: maintaining control through deception. This involves making promises that are never fulfilled, keeping the victim entangled in an unfavorable situation. Indicators: the manipulator offers enticing future rewards but consistently delays or avoids fulfilling their promises. These promises serve to maintain the victim's involvement in a detrimental relationship or circumstance. Example: "Just stay for a few more months, and I'll give you a raise." Or, "Just be patient, you'll inherit the company." Countermeasures: do not rely on promises lacking concrete action. Focus on tangible results rather than empty assurances. Master manipulators achieve their goals through a combination of factors. They are often intelligent and possess exceptional communication skills, coupled with a deep understanding of human psychology and a calculated exploitation of others' vulnerabilities. Years of experience hone their manipulative tactics, and a lack of remorse allows them to control others without guilt. Their targets are typically individuals who are empathetic and helpful, lack self-confidence and are easily swayed, or avoid conflict to the point of self-sacrifice. Strategies for countering sophisticated manipulation: early detection of manipulative tactics. If you suspect subtle control, assess whether your emotions are being manipulated. Establish clear boundaries. Refuse to relinquish your autonomy. Assert yourself by saying no when necessary. Refuse to engage. Manipulators aim to trap you emotionally. Maintain your position and resist their control. Focus on facts, not emotions. Manipulators induce guilt or self-doubt. Ground yourself in reality and avoid emotional reactivity. Distance yourself if manipulation is persistent. Minimize interaction or sever ties if required. 4. I desire control. What constitutes a control freak? A control freak is characterized by a persistent desire to dictate the thoughts, behaviors, emotions, or decisions of others, compelling them to conform to one's own will. Individuals exhibiting this tendency typically demonstrate intolerance of dissent, intervene in the decisions of others, experience anxiety or discomfort when lacking control, and employ manipulative, coercive, or threatening tactics to achieve their objectives. This controlling behavior manifests in various contexts, including personal relationships, spouses, parents and children, friends, professional environments, supervisors controlling subordinates, and societal structures, groups seeking to control community behavior. The root causes of the desire for control are multifaceted. Fear of loss of control. Individuals experiencing this anxiety feel insecure without comprehensive control over their surroundings, believing that inaction will lead to undesirable outcomes. For instance, a manager distrustful of their employees might micromanage every detail. Perfectionism. A belief in the inherent superiority of one's own methods, dismissing others' approaches as inherently flawed, fuels the pursuit of perfection according to one's own standards. This is exemplified by a parent imposing their will on their child, believing it to be in the child's best interest. Past traumatic experiences, prior trauma, betrayal, or failure can engender a need for control to prevent future hurt. For example, someone betrayed in a past relationship might exhibit excessive control in subsequent relationships. Power and domination. The desire for control can stem from a need to assert power and dominance over others, potentially manifesting as manipulation and coercion. Denying others autonomy. An authoritarian leader controlling public opinion serves as an illustration. Lack of trust. A fundamental distrust in others' capabilities to perform tasks adequately, coupled with a belief in one's own unique competence, leads to an over-reliance on self and a rejection of external assistance. A wife controlling her husband out of fear of his mistakes exemplifies this. Individuals with a controlling personality exhibit several key behaviors. Firstly, they impose their thoughts and opinions, denying others the autonomy to make their own decisions. This manifests as dictating actions and choices, preventing independent thought and action. For example, A husband might insist his wife dress according to his preferences, disregarding her personal style and comfort. Secondly, controlling individuals demonstrate a penchant for issuing directives and micromanaging every detail. They are unwilling to allow others to work independently, instead preferring to oversee and control every aspect of a task or project. A supervisor who refuses to delegate responsibilities, instead choosing to perform tasks themselves or meticulously monitor their employees' every move, exemplifies this behavior. Thirdly, they employ manipulative tactics, using verbal or emotional coercion to influence others. They may induce guilt, threaten abandonment, or feign distress to ensure compliance. A parent telling their child, "If you don't pursue the career I've chosen for you, I will be deeply disappointed," is a clear example of this manipulative control. Fourthly, controlling individuals often display jealousy and possessiveness in relationships. They restrict their partner's interactions with others, monitoring their communication through means such as checking phones, emails, and social media accounts. A husband demanding a daily account of his wife's activities is a stark illustration of this behavior. Finally, they demonstrate an unwillingness to consider alternative perspectives. They maintain a rigid belief in their own correctness, rejecting any form of counterargument or constructive criticism. A manager who consistently ignores employee input and unilaterally imposes decisions exemplifies this inflexible and controlling approach. These behaviors collectively demonstrate a pattern of controlling behavior that undermines the autonomy and well-being of others. The ramifications of a controlling disposition are multifaceted and profoundly detrimental. Suffocation of autonomy and erosion of self-determination. Individuals subjected to excessive control experience a significant curtailment of their autonomy, effectively losing the ability to make independent life choices. This leads to a decline in self-confidence, fostering fear and dependence upon the controlling individual. For instance, a wife subjected to an overly controlling husband may experience debilitating stress, potentially leading to the dissolution of the marriage. Escalation of conflict and relational dissolution. The inherent frustration and resentment stemming from controlling behavior inevitably breed conflict. Controlled individuals may actively resist, resulting in heightened tension and the erosion of mutual respect and affection within the relationship. A child, for example, might become estranged from parents due to excessive control and a perceived lack of trust. Imposition of stress upon the controller. The constant anxiety associated with maintaining control exacts a significant toll on the controlling individual. The fear of losing control precipitates chronic stress and potential burnout. A manager, for example, who micromanages every aspect of their employees' work is highly susceptible to experiencing severe stress and diminished well-being. Suppression of creativity and independence. Controlling behavior systematically stifles creativity and independent thought. Individuals under constant surveillance are discouraged from taking initiative, resulting in a diminished capacity for self-reliance and innovation. A child whose parents exert excessive control will be less likely to explore their potential, instead adhering rigidly to prescribed directives. The long-term consequences of such control can be severely limiting to personal growth and development. Strategies for managing controlling individuals. Identifying controlling behavior. If you consistently feel deprived of autonomy in decision-making, carefully assess whether you are experiencing controlling behavior. This may manifest in subtle or overt ways, including constant criticism, unwarranted interference in your personal affairs, or attempts to dictate your choices. Pay close attention to patterns of behavior that consistently undermine your independence and self-determination. Establishing clear boundaries. Assertively communicate your right to self-governance to the controlling individual. This requires direct and unambiguous statements that firmly establish your personal boundaries. For example, instead of "em tun trong an, nung em nuan tu chan kong viet kuamen," a more assertive approach would be, "I respect your opinion. However, I will be making my own career decisions. My choices regarding my professional life are my own prerogative." Resisting emotional manipulation. Controlling individuals often employ guilt or other emotional tactics to manipulate their victims. Recognize that you are not obligated to comply with demands based on emotional coercion. For instance, if a superior pressures you into excessive overtime, A firm yet polite refusal is appropriate. You might respond with, "I understand the workload is demanding. However, I am unable to commit to additional hours beyond my scheduled work commitments." Mastering the art of saying no. Develop the skill of confidently declining requests or demands that are unreasonable or infringe upon your personal boundaries. A simple, direct no is often sufficient, particularly when coupled with a brief, polite explanation. Avoid feeling obligated to justify your refusal extensively. Disengaging when necessary, if controlling behavior persists despite your efforts to establish boundaries. Consider reducing interaction or completely severing the relationship. Prioritizing your well-being and autonomy is paramount. This may involve seeking support from trusted friends, family, or professionals to navigate the complexities of disentangling yourself from a controlling relationship. Remember, your mental and emotional health are of utmost importance. 5. Systematic deception. Systematic deception involves the persistent, premeditated, and purposeful fabrication of falsehoods to achieve personal gain or manipulate others. This is not merely harmless dishonesty, it's a recurring pattern employed to conceal the truth, manipulate, or control. Individuals engaging in systematic deception characteristically, strategically, rather than randomly, fabricate falsehoods, consistently present these falsehoods as truth, repeatedly employ this behavior across diverse situations, and exhibit a lack of remorse. Even viewing deception as a necessary skill. This behavior is frequently observed in financial fraudsters, e.g. pyramid schemes, investment scams, manipulative individuals in interpersonal relationships, friendships, romantic partnerships, families, and leaders or politicians who manipulate public opinion through deceit. Systematic deception stems from several key factors. Greed and self-interest. Individuals lie to gain power, wealth, or control. For example, a fraudulent investment advisor might solicit funds for a non-existent project, knowing it will fail. Fear and avoidance of accountability. Individuals may lie to avoid punishment or loss of benefits if the truth is revealed. For example, an employee might falsify records to conceal errors. Early life patterns of deception. Some individuals develop a habitual tendency to lie, viewing it as a convenient means to achieve goals. For example, an individual might consistently lie at work due to a childhood pattern of concealing weaknesses. Lack of morality and empathy. Some individuals experience no remorse when deceiving others. For example, a fraudulent real estate agent might sell a property known to be uninhabitable, disregarding the financial consequences for the buyer. Environmental influence. Exposure to pervasive deception can normalize dishonest behavior. For example, an employee consistently pressured by a supervisor to produce false reports may eventually adopt this behavior. Systemic deception. Manipulative lying. Individuals distort the truth to control the thoughts and behaviors of others. For example, an unfaithful spouse might convince their partner that their suspicions are unfounded. Fabricated personas. False information is presented to impress or defraud. For instance, a financial fraudster might boast of fictitious wealth and success to lure investors. Evasion of accountability. False narratives are constructed to avoid negative consequences. A corrupt politician might blame subordinates for their actions. Concealment of errors. Mistakes are hidden rather than addressed and rectified. A failing company might release falsified financial reports to attract investors. Cascading lies. One falsehood leads to a series of further lies to maintain the deception. A cryptocurrency scammer, when confronted, might provide fabricated evidence to reassure investors. The systemic consequences of deceit are severe. Erosion of trust. Exposure leads to irreparable damage to reputation and credibility. For instance, a CEO defrauding shareholders faces dismissal and reputational ruin. Relationship dissolution. Deception fosters toxic, dishonest relationships devoid of respect. A habitually deceitful spouse, for example, risks destroying the marriage through a breach of trust. Significant financial losses. Financial fraud can cause widespread devastation. Ponzi schemes, such as the Mr. Pips case, illustrate the potential for millions of dollars in investor losses. Negative psychological impact on victims. Victims experience shock, depression, and disorientation. Individuals defrauded romantically and financially may lose faith in humanity and life itself. Consequences for the deceitful. While temporary impunity may be achieved, exposure is inevitable. Numerous fraudsters have been apprehended following widespread accusations from victims. Confronting systematic liars. A strategic approach. Identify deceptive indicators. Exercise caution when encountering claims too good to be true. Verify information from multiple sources. Do not rely solely on a single account. Corroborate information from credible sources. Employ precise questioning. Systematic liars often falter under detailed scrutiny. Resist emotional manipulation. Be wary of attempts to sway your judgment through flattery or emotional appeals. Establish clear boundaries. Maintain distance from, or sever ties with, individuals exhibiting persistent dishonesty. Report and expose when necessary. In cases of professional fraud, alert others and report to the appropriate authorities. Malicious individuals rarely identify themselves as such. They may be your superiors, friends, or even family. However, if you recognize these warning signs, maintain distance, protect yourself, and refuse to allow them to control your life. Have you encountered individuals exhibiting these characteristics? Share your experiences in the comments. Your perspective is valued. Like this video if you found it helpful and subscribe to ensure you don't miss crucial content designed to foster personal growth and help you avoid toxic individuals.